was always bruised. He's always got bruises on him. Does something happen to him that caused him to always be bruised?
Never done anything to hurt that way.
I can't believe I'm being accused of this.
On August 24th, 2021, Ryland was rushed to the hospital after being found unresponsive. Doctors found Ryland's death highly suspicious and made the following 911 call.
911, what's your emergency?
Hi there, this is Dr. at Mercy Medical. I am reporting the suspicious death of one Ryland McDonald. He was taken in here in the last hour or so. Mother and later the mother's boyfriend. They're outside on the curb and appears to be smoking.
The autopsy revealed that his intestines had been torn from blunt force trauma, and the injuries were very old. Now the only question is, who was cruel enough to do this to him, and why? Turns out his grandpa had an answer that shocked everyone.
So, in your mind, who's responsible for what happened to Ryland?
When 2-year-old Ryland McDonald arrived at Mercy Medical in Rogers on August 24th, 2021, his condition raised immediate alarm. His mother reported weeks of stomach issues, yet doctors found bruises across his face, arms, legs, and torso. Authorities stepped in and questioned every adult involved in the child's care. As investigators encountered conflicting accounts, they made a list of possible suspects. The first to enter the interrogation room was Fred Kite, Ryland's grandfather, and his interrogation would set the entire case in motion in ways no one was prepared for. Before the interrogation, he took a computer voice stress analysis test. The test is used to detect possible deception in someone's account. Fred apparently failed it, so investigators were ready to grill him from that point on. Before the shocking truth comes to light, I've got something worth your attention. Let's be honest, you've probably spent hours doom scrolling or playing mobile games that don't earn you a single cent. So why not get paid for the time you're already spending on your phone? Introducing Free Cash. Free Cash is a rewards platform that lets you earn real money by playing popular mobile games, trying out new apps, completing quick surveys, or even making eligible in-app purchases. Signing up takes about a minute, and you'll have access to a wide range of offers you can choose from. One of my favorite offers is Monopoly Go. With over 60 million users, more than 250 million paid out, and a 4.7-star Trustpilot rating from 260,000 plus reviews, Free Cash has earned the trust of millions. Cashing out is quick. Choose from PayPal, Visa, Amazon gift cards, or crypto, depending on your region. Sign up using the link in the description or scan the QR code on your screen to get a $10 bonus. Now, let's head back to the interrogation room.
That's kind of the $1,000 question is, you know, everybody seemed to have, well, you and your wife seem to have some sort of inclination or some feeling about safety and the month or couple of weeks leading up to when he died. So is there more information that you can kind of shed on, you know, what gave you that feeling?
I did in my personal feelings of it, I didn't feel that she was being the mother she needed to be. You know, yes, it was at the house, but there was times that I would come home and she was still in bed, maybe even asleep, but he was out running around. I don't think that that's the way you need to be if you're his mother. You need to have your ass up watching your son. There's still things he can get into. He could fall, he could do what have you. When he was sick, she'd go lay him down. He'd been puking. But didn't seem to go check on him, make sure he was all right. Because if he was laying down, the thoughts of, or the possibility of choking on his own vomit or this and that. There's just certain things that she wasn't doing that I felt she needed to improve on.
Okay.
And this is stuff that I talked to her about.
How did those conversations go?
Probably pretty harshly in her eyes.
Yeah.
Because like I've told you guys, I'm pretty blunt.
Yeah.
And she doesn't, you know, she'd be like, I'm not a bad mother. I said, I didn't say you were. I just said you're a first-time mother that needs some help and some guidance. I think that you need to improve on how you're raising your son.
Okay. Did those conversations ever get heated? I mean,
We raised our voice a little bit on occasion, but I mean, nothing that, you know, you don't have with a teenage kid or.
The detective on the...
we're just going to kind of get into, you know, the test that you just took, and there's some things that are concerning about it. And you know, I'm not going to beat around the bush or anything like that. The two hard questions that you were asked, that was an anomaly. And Brian, the examiner, said that those questions, that you didn't pass those two questions. So, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk to you separately, is because, is there a reason why that kind of reaction would be present?
No, not that I'm aware of.
I mean,
I haven't.
Hold on a second. And you understand you're here on your own free will, right?
Yes.
And we asked you to come here, you agreed to it. You know, you can end this conversation and walk out at any time. Doors are unlocked. That's your choice. You understand that, right?
Right.
Okay. I just want to make sure that you remember that, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you said you were no boy.
Yeah.
From the start, Fred openly criticizes Breyana's competence as a mother. His tone suggests that the interrogation will be long and difficult. Breyana's decisions raised serious doubts among investigators. She gave Ryland an adult dose of medication for car sickness. Moreover, she offered inconsistent accounts of his injuries. Now, the detectives waste no time pressing Fred with aggressive questions as he begins to reveal darker, more unsettling truths. It all starts with one question. Why did he fail the CVSA exam?
You failed the exam.
I don't know why I would.
Well, that's what we're here for.
That's kind of what we're
I mean, I'm serious. I don't know why I would. I've never done anything to hurt that boy.
Well, so that CVSA is designed to, it works off your voice. There was voice stress, right? And it's not on how you sound. That's why they ask you several different questions to get a baseline and figure things out. Okay, so it all operates off how you feel about the question that you just answered. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So when those questions were asked, you felt like you were lying. Those machines are very accurate. That's why
I felt like I was lying.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's kind of, is there an explanation for that? Is there any doubt in your mind?
That I did anything to him?
Yeah.
No. None.
Has there ever been a time within a week or two of death that he was hurt while he was in your custody?
No. None whatsoever.
So we talked about, you know, back at your house when you were both saying it kind of bruises easy. Tell me about that. Have you ever experienced him bruising easily?
Yeah. a lot of times I would see the bruises on his legs, and I picked him up, you know, under his arms, and I hold him, and I usually add one hand, like whether it be under his legs. But on occasion, you know, there might be a fingerprint or something just where his legs were at, but
Nothing but a bruise?
Huh?
But a bruise? Or a finger, like a red mark?
Just like, well, a red mark.
Okay, well, I'm referring to bruises. I mean, because you know how you sit with your elbows on your knees for a little while? And then you lean back and all of a sudden you look at your knees and they got those red marks. Is that what you're referring to? Or are we talking about a bruise?
Maybe a day or two after, there might be a slight, you know, a light discoloration or whatever. But I wasn't grabbing him or anything. It was maybe where I pressed and swapped because I got to swap shoulders all the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the only thing that I would have ever.
So, but I think, I don't want you to read too far into this question. Is in your memory, can you think of a time when something that you did had caused an injury? And you described the injury during your CBSA as bruises, cuts, along those lines. So if you consider a bruise an injury, can you tell me a time that you can think of when something that you did caused a bruise?
That I did?
Yes.
No. Not.
How about your wife?
No.
And Bree?
No. I mean.
So I want you to, I don't want you to think I'm trying to back you in the corner, because I'm not going to say I'm not going to bullshit. I'm not going to try to play any games with you. I'm going to be straightforward. I'm just looking for everybody I've talked to, everybody I've been able to talk to so far has said, bruise is real easy. Bruise is real easy. Well, the only person Bree says that he runs into stuff all the time. But we were at the house this morning and you and your wife said, no, he doesn't. He doesn't run into stuff all the time at all. Does that make sense to you? I mean, do you see where I'm looking for some consistency.
Right.
Everybody says he bruises real easily, but you've never witnessed that.
Well, I mean, I've noticed the bruises, and like I said, like.
How did he get those bruises?
Like the ones on his leg, like I said, that maybe when I picked him up or whatever.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if I did them. I mean, he used to have them right on his thighs.
Yeah. Yes.
Detectives suspect Fred just as much as anyone else in this dark and horrifying case. Ryland bruised easily, but doctors found injuries far beyond simple bruises. There was serious damage that showed clear, intentional harm. The child's fragile state made things harder, but one thing was certain. Someone had done this on purpose. And now, within minutes, Fred himself will name that person. That single name is about to pull the investigation toward a truth far more shocking than anyone expected.
Here's the thing. We're not saying that you did something that you meant to hurt him or meant to cause his death, right? We're saying that you know of some instance that you think could have caused this, okay? Well, and like I said, I think you're hiding something, okay? What I have to prove is, are you this guy over here that this accidentally happened, or you might have lost your temper, you might have got a little rough with you, or are you this guy over here that punched or kicked or hurt this kid on purpose because you were trying to be mean to him?
I'm not either one of them.
You see what I'm saying?
I know, but
I've got to distinguish where we're at on this.
I mean, I've had a thought in my head ever since this whole thing went down that he had a blow to the stomach, but it wasn't from me.
Who was it from?
It would have had to have been from Gus.
But how do you know that?
I don't.
So when do you think that this took place?
I would say probably 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
2 to 3 weeks ago was when I first saw the bruises. That was, I
Which
mean,
bruises?
well, not the, I don't know if it was the first time I saw him, but it was significant. It was real bad. But it kept going. I mean, it seemed to heal itself.
Okay.
And then,
How long would it take for it to heal himself?
well, it wasn't completely healed. It would be starting to go away.
Okay.
But then when we see him, he'd come back from being with Gus, it would seem like it was back again.
Okay. You said that's 3 weeks ago.
It's,
But here's the problem. Here's the problem. What killed Ryland? Ryland couldn't have survived for 3 weeks with that.
do what?
The injuries that killed your grandson,
Right?
he couldn't have survived for 3 weeks with that.
Can't believe I'm being accused of this.
I'm not trying to accuse you of anything. I'm trying to
Well,
get an
but
explanation.
I know, but it's that's what it straight up sounds like, because I can't even fathom in my mind hurting him.
Okay.
But yet this thing is telling me that I feel like I have. How,
This machine's telling us that it's showing deception when you answer the question you're asked about it, yes.
So do you feel responsible for it? Do you feel responsible for the injuries to Ryland?
I don't know really how to answer that. I mean, not directly. I feel that maybe I didn't do enough to protect him.
Okay. Do you feel responsible for his death?
I really don't. I mean, I haven't done anything to him. I don't.
So what happened? What are you thinking of right now?
I'm thinking that you're wanting me to say that.
No, I want the truth.
I don't
I don't want you to say anything that's not true.
After relentless pressure, Fred finally cracks and reveals the harrowing truth. That single statement gives detectives their prime suspect in this heinous crime.
So, in your mind, without any shadow of a doubt, who's responsible for what happened to Ryland?
Yes.
Fred has taken Gus's name without a shadow of doubt. Breyana's boyfriend, Gustavo Peraza, was watching Ryland on August 23rd. It was just 1 day before the child was rushed to the hospital. Breyana admitted that Gus had been caring for Ryland while she worked. Gus claimed the child had fallen in a park and later vomited. However, the medical report showed brutal trauma that no simple fall could explain. In a case full of secrets and shifting stories, only Breyana can unlock what really happened, and now the spotlight turns to her.
Gustavo sends several text messages talking about how he's always getting hurt when he's watching. On June 11th, I believe is when that picture was taken. The explanation I was given was this was an abrasion from falling down in a hot parking lot in Branson. The problem with that is the concentration of the injuries, the blistering around the edges of it, and the lack of peripheral scrapes. It's not an abrasion, it's a burn. Especially when you get down in between the webbing of the fingers, that is a burn. And you told me that you observed Ryland falling down the parking lot, and that's how he sustained that. That's what you told me down at the parking lot of Walgreens.
That's when I noticed it.
That's when you noticed it?
When you fell down, I don't remember.
Okay. Well, that's not a scrape. That is a burn. Okay. And that's not a question. That's a matter-of-fact statement. That is a burn. Okay, and we'll come back to that, but I'm gonna set that right there because I do want to come back to it. Again, on June 21st, Gus's baby says he fell twice already. And that was the day that Gus's mom sees Rye when he stops by the house. And Gus's mom tells Gus that he needs to be careful because she observed all the bruises all over Ryland. That's somebody just completely independent, making an observation. And if you want to read those, that's fine. Okay? Tell me when you're ready for me to move on. You ready? Okay. July 26th. Gustavo mentions threw up and was throwing a fit while he was watching. Says, oh, I swear he didn't show me. He texted. I don't know what's going on. We're good. How are you? Rye was throwing a fit and now he threw up a little bit ago. Must have thrown up from nausea or crying too much. But both you guys said pretty chill kid during our initial interviews.
Well, he threw tantrums and stuff.
He's a two-year-old, yeah. But typically a 2-year-old's not going to throw a tantrum to the point to where he makes himself.
And he asked with me. That's why I didn't see.
Was that within the past month of his death, before his death?
I don't remember when it was. I mean, there's been times where we would be in the car and he'd just be crying so much and he'd throw up.
All right. Well, that's kind of the start of things, because on July 30th is when Gus's Google searches start kicking in and start to make me, wonder what's up.
This marks the first set of damning evidence. Some disturbing texts were exchanged between Gus and Breyana. Gus was panicking as Ryland grew weaker and weaker. The child also kept vomiting after the so-called park fall. But this is only the start. The next messages the detective reads out loud will reveal something truly vile, something that makes Gus's responsibility stand out as clear as water.
This is where it starts to become a little damning. Okay, August 5th at 8:41 p.m. He got car sick on the way to Cody's. I had to stop and change him and wash his hair. It got everywhere, LOL. That was at 8:41. But at 6:55, his Google search says, someone punched my stomach and I'm bleeding. On August 11th, Gustavo's search history. Should I be concerned if I vomited? And I got punched in the gut and I through my mouth. Okay. August 18th. He texted you at 8:31 p.m. Said we went to the park. He threw the biggest fit, made me look bad, so we left hella quick. August 18th. That's significant as well. So when you're done with that, I said that right here. Because you know what happened on August 19th, right? It's when he woke up throwing up violently after you got home off of work. Okay. And that's when you told him, I don't know, he's throwing up this morning. Could just be the car sickness, but he was violently ill all day. All right. So that was
He had been for the past
you're
month
right.
and a half.
You're right. But there's a reason for that, right? So that was your text message of back and forth. On the 19th, when he was very ill. So you did the right thing. You took your son to the doctor. They noticed some things that were extremely concerning, and I can see that you were concerned about Ryland's.
But they didn't say anything to me. They didn't
Well,
do anything.
they referred you up to Children's for a reason. I went to the stomach or cancer was the concern from the community clinic that was noted on his chart. So they noticed something. This kid is either suffering from some serious blunt force trauma or he's got cancer. So it's pretty significant.
The picture is finally clear. Gus delivered the fatal blow, one vicious kick or punch to Ryland's stomach. The impact tore the child's intestines. There was enough to prove Ryland's injuries were inflicted. The child had bruises on his arms from being grabbed. Moreover, the marks across his spine, legs, and torso told the entire story. All of it happened before his death. Breyana enabled every bit of it. She gave him adult Dramamine and ignored the earlier bruises. She even brushed off the grandparents' warnings. When questioned, she tried to downplay it all. Before justice delivers its final verdict, Fred reveals the haunting truth: how a little boy was forced into silence and why they believed their secret was buried for good.
You said that you had a conversation with her. I think you had some pretty harsh words with her. And you said what to her a couple weeks ago?
That if anything happens to him, it's on you.
What made you say that?
The thought in my head that something was going to happen.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. What made you? What brought you to that place?
The bruises that I kept seeing when he came back from Gus.
Okay, where would you see bruises?
I've seen him on his abdomen.
Okay.
I've seen him on his face. I've seen him on his back.
You show concern, but why wasn't something done? I mean, and I'm not trying to poke a bear. I'm not. That's just it's a natural reaction as a man. If it's my grandson and I know that somebody's doing something to hurt my grandson, I'll be damned if I'm going to let my daughter continue to put my grandson in that position. Why are we just now having this conversation about trying to do something to prevent what happened to Ryland?
Well, I thought we talked to you about that. We just didn't know the avenues to go about, because ultimately Breyana is his mother. We can't just say, no, you're not taking him.
Fred sits there shattered, his voice splintering as he finally admits his own part in what happened. He had suspected Breyana and Gus were hurting Ryland. He observed the unexplained illnesses and the bruises. There were many quiet pleas for help, but he did nothing. His silence became a shield for their violence, and the torment continued in plain sight. There was no twisted grand motive. The only reason this monstrosity was inflicted on innocent Ryland was his persistent car sickness. He lost his life for such a trivial excuse. Gustavo and Breyana must now face justice for their vile acts. Gustavo Peraza was charged with capital murder in Benton County Circuit Court in Rogers, Arkansas, for the August 2021 killing of young Ryland McDonald. He later pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 30 years on December 17, 2024. Breyana Sawyer was charged with permitting child torment and hindering apprehension.